Welcome to the Open Mic Gripe with Jay Rice and Jeffrey Ide, a place where serious and silly complaints come to chat.
Open Mic Gripe is a weekly podcast dedicated to hearing your gripes, grievances, and opinions on any and all topics.
If you feel like we are wrong, inappropriate, or biased, then call in, email, or tweet and let your voice be heard. You can email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet to us at openmicgripe.
So jump on in and gripe on the Open Mic with Jay Rice and Jeffrey Ide.
Welcome back, Jay. Good to have you here.
Thanks. I wouldn't say it's good to have you here because I don't necessarily like having you in my home.
Well, it works. I get to raid your snack cupboard.
I know, because that's why I'm constantly feeding you snacks. And I think that actually I've got a gripe even to start out, a little mini gripe.
Okay.
Is quit starting to drink waters and leaving them here. Like my flavored waters.
Yeah.
You always take like 2 drinks out of them and then you leave them here.
Saving
and then I have to throw them away.
Saving them for next
Take
time.
it with you.
What? No. Okay, so first of all...
Well, then I'm going to make sure to take a Sharpie and write your name on it, and I will make you drink that one the next time.
Although I did recognize that you refused to offer me a drink this time.
That's exactly why.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't really need more than normal water.
Okay, all right, well, fine. You don't get anything more than normal water then.
That's cool, man. And also, when you're at my place, you always get snacks and drinks.
I've rarely had a snack at your place.
If I was at anyone else's home, I would not feel guilty about... I would feel very guilty about just kind of digging for snacks. But, you know, when people are at my place, they're always eating things, so...
Not me. I am not over there. Oh, yeah, because I get invited for community meals. I come over and I eat that. But I'm not, like, raiding your cupboards for food. The only thing I ever did involving food or drink was make some coffee. And you're like, well, I hope you made it right. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I know how to make coffee. And then you're like, hey, did you push this button? I was like, what? No. Why do you need to do that? And then luckily we caught it before there was coffee everywhere.
Yeah.
But I guess so apparently I am an idiot.
I have a coffee machine that throws coffee everywhere. Like that's built into it.
Well, it's got a grinder built into it. So I think the thing is, oh no, I didn't put a filter in or something.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Oh, something weird.
Well, I
Get
did
a better
say
coffee
when you're at my
maker.
place, I do say make yourself at home, so that qualifies as cupboard rating.
Is that why there's so many people at your place not wearing pants?
Hey, that would actually explain a lot. There's a strict no pants policy.
Oh, a strict no pants policy. Ladies, come on over to Jeffrey's house.
Okay. Well, now I understand why I don't have a water in my hands. Anyway, Jay, I'd like to start off our episode as per usual by now.
Per usual by now, you mean since last week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you're getting it. I have a hypothetical question for you.
Excellent. I'm excited.
But I want you to seriously think about this one.
Okay,
Don't
well,
just give me a
I don't want any dead air, so I'll think about it for about 5 seconds.
All right.
And then be as serious as possible.
What I really want to know
Okay.
is if you were a robot, would you want someone to tell you?
If I was a robot, would I want somebody to tell me? Wait, am I such a dumb robot? Like, have I never gotten hurt in my life?
You're a robot designed to simulate life, and part of that process is allowing that mind to believe itself is a real person, not a robot.
But, like, have I never gotten, like, cut or, like, I mean...
You've always been able to explain it.
Okay. So I currently think I am a real human being.
This is how we get them every time.
Currently think I'm a real human being. Would I... Yes, I absolutely would. If my mind is the same as it is right now, as soon as I found out I was a robot, I would be so much better. Probably better by being so much worse of a... I was going to say person, but I'm not a person. I'm a robot.
Robots are people. Silicon, carbon, same thing.
All right, so then I would be a much... By you telling me, I would probably be a much worse person / robot. Because then, well, I don't know. Because then I talked before. I would probably go out and start fighting crime.
You are.
I mean,
RoboCop.
not in this hypothetical question, because I don't actually know what these questions are going to be. But I keep talking about how I'm going to go out and just constantly fight crime. I don't know why I want to go out and fight crime. But if I was a robot, of course, I'm out fighting crime. So yeah, tell me. Otherwise, I'm going to be sitting in here doing a podcast. You tell me I'm a robot. I'm out there. I'm fighting crime, and that's my podcast.
Also, in all seriousness, you would use that as a pickup line.
I am a robot.
Have you ever been with a robot? Okay, that's a good answer. I appreciate that. I don't know. For myself, I'd want to know.
Yeah, I would. I think I'd want to know.
I'd want to know. Yeah.
You know what? How about to introduce our guest that we're going to be basically focusing on this whole time?
Who's a robot?
We weren't supposed to tell him.
Shit.
Oh, he's going to freak out. All right. Yeah, let's welcome our guest. Do you want to use your full name?
I can.
Okay, well,
Sure.
I guess we did. There's probably something we should have asked before. I don't know if people ever want to use their real names, but this is Brian Powers.
Hey,
Power.
Brian.
No S, but yeah.
Oh, Brian Power. My apologies.
All right. No worries. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna get into his topic in just a little bit. But Brian, why don't you go ahead and answer the question? If you did not know you were a robot, were a robot, would you want to know?
I would want to know, but the thing is, though, I'd be in denial the whole time someone would ever tell me.
Oh.
So, and therefore, I would still say that I was actually human instead of a robot.
So even if somebody did tell you, it would still be kind of pointless.
Yeah, well, I mean,
What?
that's the thing is how many... If you're a robot
You're in
designed
denial.
in denial about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you still want to know.
Interesting.
Huh.
Huh. Okay. All right.
Stumper.
But I really do think that you have a new pickup line now. Have you ever been with a robot? No? Do you want to?
I think my pickup line would be like, "Hey, have you ever had sex with your toaster?" And they'd be like, "What? No." And I'd be like, "Good, I'm a step above it."
There's that guy in the back of the bar going, yes! Okay. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Actually-
No?
Well, sorry. Now I'm just thinking more about robots and pickup lines. Let's just skip past that. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Pretty sure this conversation can go on for a long
Yeah, it
time.
probably could.
So, what defines you as a human being?
Well, that's not a robot.
There you go.
I don't know, just different, I guess. Just trying to always have fun and just trying to be myself, I guess.
That'll
I
work.
mean,
That's what a robot would say.
yep.
Yeah. I'm just trying to be like everybody. I'm just trying to be myself, not like everybody else. Actually, it seems like the opposite of what a robot would say. But a robot like Brian.
A robot like Brian. That's a name for a band.
A robot like Brian?
Yeah. So I've been looking forward to this topic. I feel like we're all going to have different perspectives on it.
Yeah.
And it's a topic which did not come across immediately when I thought about topics.
Right.
So
understand
who
that.
wants to introduce it?
Well, actually, I think since Brian's welcome to bring up any kind of gripes that he has that he wants to bring up, but Brian has an area of expertise that I always go to whenever I have a question, and I think maybe Brian should introduce it.
Yeah, sure.
Well, actually, the topic actually is upon vaping and people's views and how kind of...
Oh, you mean smoking marijuana?
No, not smoking marijuana.
You mean vaping marijuana?
No, not marijuana. Has nothing to do with marijuana. Nothing. It's actually just like another nicotine substance that you can use instead of cigarettes. It's like an alternative for it.
Okay.
So instead of like patches or gums or what have you, you can actually use vaping as a substitute for those who actually try to get off smoking.
So you work for Big Tobacco?
No. No.
Okay.
What's your interest in this?
I used to be a smoker. I smoked for like 12 years. 10,
Okay.
10, 12 years, around that area. And I was looking for a way to stop it.
If you don't mind me
Yeah,
asking, how much did you smoke per day?
It was about a pack, maybe a pack and a half a day.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's a lot of cigarettes.
Yes, it is.
Jeffrey, just to start this off, what is your opinion on tobacco use? Smoking cigarettes, tobacco use.
This is a pretty black and white issue for me. Since I was a kid, I've always hated tobacco. The smoke, the smell, everything to do with it. I felt it was my duty to get my parents to stop smoking.
Right.
Um,
So your parents smoke, so I'm guessing that's a big reason why you actually are against it.
I don't know. I think it was quite normal in my childhood, and when it came to, it was a lot. It had a lot to do with the education at school. A lot of the.
Oh, your DARE program?
No, not the DARE. Ironically, I don't remember the DARE program ever talking about tobacco. I wonder if they ever did. Anyway, we had a lot of educational programs about tobacco and smoking cigarettes, etc. at school, and that was enough. Besides, it smells like shit. It's
Well, okay. By the way, speaking of, you just said smells like shit. It is. If you hear some kind of like clicks and puffs and everything, we're vaping it up in the studio right now, and it smells amazing in here.
It does actually.
I
It smells like. Let me think if I can come up with an analogy for this.
It
Like
smells
Liberace's bathroom.
Okay, that smells way different than what I think this would smell.
I think there'd just be incense and peppermints everywhere.
Because it smells fruity. Jeffrey,
No,
don't. That's a very
God
mean.
damn it.
Smells very fruity
Because
in
the
here, and
man
that's
cared
what you
very
meant.
much about aesthetics.
That's Ben. One of our previous guests did call you very homophobic.
Oh my gosh.
Is that it? So
Stop it.
Since it smells fruity in here, you think it smells
Doesn't
like
smell
Liberace?
Is that what that is? Fruit?
I think that smells like fruit.
This one is fruit.
What
This
is
one
it?
fruit. It's called Twisted. Twist.
Twisted. What is
Twist.
the smell of it?
It's just a bunch of like kind of different fruits all mixed together.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Like Liberace's bathroom.
Pretty much. You guys are dead
Just
on.
a bunch of
You
fruits
guys are good,
mixed
man.
together. I'm sorry. Okay, everybody of the LGBT, I was a straight gay ally. I just needed, that was too easy of a joke to not jump
There you
on.
go.
My apologies.
That's what... Fair. Okay, so yeah, I'm personally, I'm coming from a strong anti-tobacco point of view. Nicotine is a word that was already used. I want to know as much as possible what is the relationship between vaping, nicotine, tobacco, and smoking in general.
The only relationship between all of them is the word nicotine.
Okay.
That's it.
So
'Cause nicotine is
vaping-
actually derived from the plant tobacco. That's the only way you can get it.
Okay. So to understand this correctly, vaping is necessitates nicotine.
Yes. It helps you get what you actually want. Like it's nicotine is actually highly addictive. Can be highly addictive, and so you actually are using this to get the nicotine that you actually want.
But, okay. But now I thought that vaping does not necessarily have to have anything to do with nicotine because there's 0
It
milligram.
doesn't. Yep. There's 0 milligram nicotine in certain choices that you do have. So you can actually go to 0 milligrams, and you won't be actually addicted to the nicotine itself.
Okay, so what? Okay, let's give this a little bit of structure here. You have a platform to discuss the concept of vaping and anything that you think that society has a misunderstanding of, and I'm a critical thinker here. I'm always trying to be a skeptic, and I want to hear the pitch from somebody who proposes that vaping can be a positive. Or is that what you're griping about? That it's viewed negatively?
It is highly viewed negatively. People actually come to the point where they how do I put it? They don't like something that they don't understand, and they are really against things that they don't understand. That's just people in general. So if they don't understand vaping, they're going to try to do everything they can to stop it due to the fact that they're not doing research to understand what's going on and why it's being used.
And I have to say, as I have definitely like checked out vaping and whatnot, and it's not easy to learn about. Like if you just want to buy a vaping like setup, it definitely seems like there's a lot of ohms and voltage and polyglycerin and vegetable glycerin and how much nicotine and
Propylene glycol and vegetable
milligrams.
glycerin.
Yeah, see, I mean, there's so much of that I know the times that I have looked at it and tried to figure it out. It's very complicated.
Yeah, it can be, yes. That's why local shops here in town and also the community that has grown for it around town try to help as many people as they can to understand what they need to do or, have any questions, and we're more than willing to help out and answer those questions.
Okay, well, do you want to put in a plug for your? I know, granted, this is going everywhere, but do you have as long as you're here, you might as well plug your local vaping store that you like.
I actually work at Fluid Motion Vapors, which is actually over in the Vid Cycle on 13th Avenue.
Okay.
And
In Fargo, North Dakota.
Yep.
I didn't know how far this branched out to, but yeah, Fargo, North Dakota.
Finland.
Yes.
Where we have Finland and
Yeah.
Tokyo and
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I should have
So I
brought
wonder,
somebody from the Netherlands over with me.
and definitely, and you actually also run a vaping community, correct? Is that something that you wanted to mention? Just put a plug in for quick? Or?
Yeah, I
Because
help.
just in case, since there is people all over that might have questions about it, now you can contact Brian.
Yeah, I actually
Might
help
be able to
run FM Vaping, which is it's a closed group community page that we have, and then I also help run Red River Vaping, which is a big community page that we try to help with post with the laws and how the laws are trying to come back at us for different stuff. So we try to put a lot of things on there. So
Just to, because I'm walking into this as a newbie here, why does there need to be a support group for vaping?
it's not. I wouldn't call it a support group.
Okay.
It's more of a community.
Okay.
We do events. We just had one last April up in Grand Forks called VapeX. I helped with it a little bit, and the people who did put it on, the proceeds and all that stuff that actually did get for that, they actually went to the lung cancer foundation or lung foundation, I believe.
Right.
Oh, nice.
So we try to do what we can to try to help out, even though we understand that people don't like it. People don't want people to be doing it. But at the same time,
Why don't people want you to do it?
people in general think it's bad because they see like all like the vape that we produce out,
Yeah.
and people think that's just horribly and it's gonna like ruin your body. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's good for you. It's not going to make you Superman, but it's going to help you get off the carcinogens from cigarettes.
So take someone who's not a smoker, like myself. And
By the way, while we're sitting here,
Yeah.
you set that question up. Did you pass one of those things over to me? Are these zero? These are zero nicotine ones, right? Just say
most
yes.
of them are, yes. I have one with some trial, some samples that I was supposed to get 0, but they actually came in 3s.
Well, whatever.
So
I
those
can-
are kind of staying with me over on this side, so
I don't
that's
know.
one of them.
All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna suck on this.
Wait, now how's this working?
You just push the button.
Okay, and it heats it up.
Ooh,
Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
The basic concept of it
that.
and how it works is that there's a piece of cotton inside there,
Okay.
and that holds your e-liquid or juice. And what it does is there's a piece of wire around it called canthal, or sometimes it uses titanium or
Is that
nickel.
cinnamon?
That one's more of a cinnamon one, yeah. I
Hey,
believe so.
listen to he's explaining this to you.
And then from there, what it
Smells
does is it
delicious.
goes through the wire. The wire heats it up, kind of like you're cooking food, I guess. And it heats it up, and then you just breathe it in, and it's got different flavors to it and different tones. It's actually pretty
Jiminy
smooth.
cricket.
Yeah, it's not like Jeffrey has admitted that one time under the gateway drug of alcohol, he did smoke a cigarette once, and he said it was the worst experience of his
Oh,
life.
that alcohol is a very, very
I don't-
pushy person.
I don't know if I said it was the worst experience of my life,
Well,
but it's
okay.
certainly one of them.
But no, so now Jeffrey, you are like you said, you're
Yeah.
pretty adamantly against smoking. What did you think about that?
It's smooth. It goes in easily, and it tastes amazing. Okay, but then there's a lot of things that taste amazing. This particular one tastes like cinnamon, but what's to stop me from just eating a cinnamon roll? Or
Probably that's healthier for you. I don't know, but I would say if you would take a Cinnabon, not a sponsor, if you would take a Cinnabon and versus that, I would say a Cinnabon is probably worse for you.
on that note, Cinnabon, if you'd like to sponsor Open Mic Gripe, please contact us at openmicgripe@gmail.com.
And then I would say the opposite, that Cinnabons are completely healthy for you.
If you're a company who would like to replace Cinnabon as our sponsor, please contact us at openmicgripe@gmail.com. No, okay, so back to the subject here. I am very curious about this.
In the middle of his question. No, that's bad advertising. Don't do that.
Yeah, as I cough. Okay. So
There's actually different stages here. Let me quickly run
Yes,
down something
please.
for you. There's like starter kits that actually when you smoke a cigarette, you usually like put it in your mouth and then like you inhale that way. And so basically there's starter pens and stuff like that where you don't have to calculate anything. They just come and you just fill it, you push a button and you go.
okay.
It's kind of what he's got, but that's a little bigger. That's like the Aspire kit is what he's got. The Aspire Linus kit.
What does something like that cost?
A whole kit of that one is roughly about $100, give or take.
Okay. And the cartridges, or would you just put oil in
The
there?
coils inside there are roughly about $5 a piece, give or take.
Okay. So it can be an affordable habit compared
Yeah.
to, say, smoking cigarettes.
Yep. And smoking cigarettes, you go through like say a pack a day, so that's like $5, maybe if not more a day. Times 7 days a week, you're looking at $35.
I like right now, people are realizing that cigarette prices in North Dakota are extremely low,
Low,
compared to
yes.
other places.
Oh, I
Yes.
suppose.
They're like $5. Yes, North Dakota has pretty low taxes on
Yes, that's
cigarettes.
true.
Right across the river in Minnesota, it's about like 1.5,
Yeah,
almost twice as much.
So are you saying that the public outcry from this is coming from the fact that they're just ignorant about it?
I don't like to call people ignorant. I like to call them misunderstood.
Okay. You're saying they don't know enough.
Correct.
Okay.
Maybe misinformed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
Uninformed.
another big thing is like a lot of things that are going on there that are misinforming people about this and shying them away from and making it so like if I use one of these devices, I'm going to kill myself in less than a year. No, that's not the case.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Too late.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, yes, there are dangers in it as everything else. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be really bad.
So actually, okay, one thing that I've heard about it is that because the heat is higher than in a cigarette, that the molecules that you're breathing in are smaller and they can get deeper into your lungs, or some crazy thing along
I've
that
heard that
line.
too.
Molecules don't get smaller.
What, dude? I'm telling you, this
I've heard
this
that.
is what
I've heard
people.
that.
I'm just saying,
Really?
this is what people say against vaping.
Okay, so let me tell you where I came from in terms of awareness about vaping. This is
Is that the fruit one?
Yes.
Can I try that fruit one?
having previously worked in a healthcare facility.
Oh crap! I
working-
got to get out of here now.
I mean, I spoke with professional nutritionists, etc., who are their whole job is advising people on health in their daily lives.
Oh my god.
And there was a legitimate debate as to whether or not this could be a tool to get people off smoking. But the other side of the debate was that we just don't know about the long-term effects of vaping, and that there haven't been enough long-term studies to demonstrate whether or not this is actually safer. And also I was told that we don't know what's in the individual chemicals that go into vaping. And just in preparation for this, I've been reading a little bit about this, and I was incredibly surprised how misinformed I was. And so
Correct.
have you heard a lot of these things?
Oh, absolutely. I've heard that the vape, when you breathe it out, actually can transfer through walls and stuff. I've heard that too.
Quantum vape.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Apparently they become invisible and then just fly through walls. It's pretty interesting. I wish I could just do that now. It'd be fun to do.
How thick is wall?
Yeah, a lot of people, especially with the chemicals that are in here, it's just two chemicals and your nicotine and your food flavorings is what it is. All that is propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, and your nicotine, and a little tiny bit of
Propylene glycol.
propylene glycol. Yeah.
That sounds scary.
No, it's not. It's actually in each one of those chemicals. To be honest, I can't remember exactly what's in what, but I do know that the propylene glycol, I believe, is in like aromatizers for the house. Your vegetable glycerin, that's in like toothpaste.
Right.
So it's all over.
Right.
So just
Well,
because
so
you're
you're
not
saying-
breathing it in is it makes it okay, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's
Of course, I'm not putting my mouth on any air fresheners.
Yeah, but have you ate toothpaste?
I have.
See?
I even have to leave my Sensodyne in. Not a sponsor.
just to read this here. This is actually quite interesting. It sounds like there's an active campaign to misinform the public about this. And keep in mind, audience, I'm entering this as a non-smoker and very against nicotine. But that being said, this is interesting. It says here that people have been trying to say that propylene glycol is the main ingredient in antifreeze. And that's incorrect, actually, which is diethyl glycol, which is found in some products, but most vaping products use propylene glycol, which is used in inhalers,
Yep.
asthma inhalers, specifically because
So
of
it's got to be bad for you.
Yes.
well, it says the propylene glycol is thinner than the glycerin, and it carries the flavor well, and that's why they use it. But to be honest with you, this sounds a lot like the anti-vaxxers, the way that they're trying to say there's mercury in our vaccines, therefore it's poison.
Well, how about this whole thing where for the longest time the thing that was in yoga mats was actually in Subway. If you do that one, do a small puff on that one. Yeah,
Wow.
that puts off a lot of vape.
No kidding.
But yeah, I mean, there was just that whole thing about so
Subway.
how
That
long
was
Subway
Subway.
bread?
Yeah.
How long Subway? Not a sponsor. How long Subway bread had this yoga mat additive in its bread, and for years nobody had a problem with it. Now, of course, everybody has a problem with it. But so there's a lot of bad things in a lot. I mean, you eat a piece of candy, and most candy isn't just that has some kind of red dye or some kind of something that you can't pronounce. That was one thing that when we were doing a little research here, like, oh,
What are these things?
you can't pronounce this? It's gotta be bad.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd love to read just a few of these. I found a series of posters that were against e-cigarettes. And once again, I'm entering this as an opponent to vaping. But as I'm learning more and more, I realize that I just can't maintain this position and be intellectually honest. One of the things that they're using, they're saying...
I mean, we will say that we don't necessarily promote it, and
Right.
we will admit that there
I-
isn't long-term effect studies done on it.
Right.
But how long does it take to make a long-term study?
Decades. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. So you can't say that it just arrived and it's been around since 2003 over in China and it's progressed its way this way and took this long to get here.
Stuff that comes from China shouldn't exactly be propped up as medical breakthroughs. The majority of the country still uses alternative medicine as alternative to antibiotics, for example.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're saying.
Yeah. And so like, how do you say something just arrived? Well, it's bad for you because we haven't done a long-term study. Well, how long are we going to wait to use something for it to be proven that it's actually okay for you?
Right.
I just found these ads about the anti-vaping thing to be incredibly disingenuous. Like this one says that it contains formaldehyde, also found in dead people, or cadmium, like in batteries. And there are a lot of uses for cadmium. I don't know if is there cadmium in this stuff?
No. Nope.
So, but this is saying, basically it's trying to say there's cadmium in all vape.
Well, I think one of the things was they also did a study, and it's. I think the problem is that there are multiple companies creating e-juice.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot.
And so, of course, in that kind of market, you're going to have people that are creating good, pure products that only have like the 4 ingredients that we mentioned. And then you are going to have other companies that are cutting costs and doing it in cheaper ways and adding things that might not be as beneficial. I mean, we're not saying just go out there and buy an e-juice. You need to do your own research and make your own choices. But I believe that both Jeffrey and I believe that you do have you should have the freedom to do what you want to your own body.
Oh, absolutely.
And currently we don't see any kind of research that says that secondhand vape is bad for people that I know of.
Well, also, I do respect the people who approach this from the angle that is saying, people propped up smoking tobacco as healthy, as, there's no harm, et cetera, et cetera. And I think people are just trying to be a little bit cautious, knowing that was our attitude going into smoking tobacco. Mm-hmm. And that seems like, but I don't think that there are people who are proposing vaping, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there are people proposing vaping who say that. I think they're saying there are carcinogens in it at some level, but it's not as harmful as smoking.
It's a safer alternative, is what it's coming down to.
Okay.
Yeah. With doing stuff like this, it's not about like for myself. I actually use it to get off smoking, and then it became a hobby. Now my wife's mad at me because I'm buying all this stuff.
So you traded one addiction for another?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No, it actually intrigues me because I'm high into electronics. I love electronical stuff and gadgets, gizmos and stuff. And this is smoking and electronical stuff kind of all in one. And not saying it's still good for you, but it really intrigued me, and it really
How
kind
about
of made a hobby.
on a personal level, just on your own experience now, you used to be about a 1.5 pack a day smoker. Now, like, how much do you say you vape in a day? Like, do you know approximately how many juice milligrams or anything?
I go through maybe roughly about a 15 mil a day.
Okay.
15 mil.
That would actually be a
milliliters.
fair amount, right?
Yeah.
What is that in
But-
terms of? Let's see.
It's 15 milliliters.
Is
But
this-
it's probably about that bottle.
This
This
bottle
is 15 mils.
Okay.
This is 30 mils.
I'm holding up a really small eyedropper bottle.
Which is, I would say, for a vapor, that's a fair amount. But now, okay, so now on a personal level, how do you feel now compared to when you were a smoker?
I feel a lot better. Personally, like I don't wake up in the morning with that wheezing and all that, crap in the morning. I don't feel like I actually really need to go out and vape or really need to go out and have a cigarette anymore. I can, go all day without, having to worry about it. And that's just the nicotine factor. It's all it is. Your body's just craving that nicotine.
Okay.
So if you weed yourself down and, try to get off it, then it actually really helps you with that. When I quit smoking roughly last February, a year ago before that. So that February I quit smoking, went to vaping, and then that April I started in softball.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, crap, I'm a smoker. They're not going to want me, and all that fun stuff. And I noticed throughout the whole time playing softball, I was actually breathing better. Running, like when I was running and stuff, I didn't feel as winded. And, that was just from the progression of getting off smoking to vaping.
Okay. As someone who, and there's nothing that bothers me more than secondhand smoke with cigarettes, because it's not only someone else's bad habit, but it's a bad habit that people share with you.
I would say that I actually say the same thing about chewing. Is like I'm not necessarily I don't think chewing is real great, but I would say the thing that I enjoy about chewing, or like people chewing over smoking, is that unless I drink their spit bottle, it's not affecting me. You know, smoking, it does affect the people around you.
Yeah. Holy shit. All right. Sorry for the coughing, folks. But right now it looks like Cheech and Chong's van in here.
What do you got going on over there?
Wow. What is that?
Oh man, is that Muse? Is that the
No,
Muse juice?
That's not the Muse juice, but that is awesome. I'm not gonna lie. No, this is actually made by Cloud. They're actually from South Dakota.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
It's really, really, really good stuff.
Does this have tobacco in it? I'm sorry, nicotine?
It has no tobacco in it whatsoever.
No nicotine.
This one has no nicotine in it.
Okay. I'd like to try that. What's
I tried to get off nicotine, and then I started sharing samples with other people, and then I ended up getting 12s, and now I'm weeding myself back down to 0 again.
what is the 12s and what is the 0? Can you tell us about that?
It's like a strength of nicotine. So like if you smoked like we'll say a Marb Red type thing a day,
Okay.
like if you were on Marb Reds, and you would that would be say like around 12 to 18. If you're on a light, you're sitting at about 6 to 12 milligrams. Ultralight is about 3 milligrams, give or take,
Of
nicotine
okay.
in these bottles.
Okay.
So
Wow. Okay. This is an interesting habit.
it is. It's for myself. It's more of a hobby. There's actually cloud competitions that people have at some of these meets. We had them over in up in Grand Forks. There was cloud people call it cloud competitions, and they see who can make the biggest cloud and make it go the furthest. It's pretty interesting.
So now with the smoke that someone's exhaling, is there
Vapor, not
nicotine in
smoke.
it?
Not smoke.
So
Get your technology right.
Yes.
Well, no, inform me, please.
Yep.
Educate me.
Yeah. When you breathe out, it's your vapor,
Yeah.
and it's not smoke.
Do you know what's in the vapor that you release?
Well, it's going through different phases. So say it goes, you put it in, it's actually vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, and your ingredients and your nicotine.
Okay.
Then it gets cooked by the coal, which actually makes it into like a vapor form. It heats it up so it actually, makes it so it's something you can actually breathable in. And then you breathe it inside your lungs, so that's another transfer, and then it goes inside your lungs. And now from your lungs out, now from there, how do you know what you're breathing out? You don't know because you don't know what you actually have inside your lungs. You don't know where you're getting it. If you walk by a car, you don't know if you've accidentally had exhaust fumes that you've had. That's why there hasn't been very accurate studies with this, because you can't find fresh lungs that don't have any contaminants in it whatsoever.
Right. But
we should be. So what you're saying is we should be testing these on babies.
That's a very awkward question.
Some fresh lungs.
yeah.
Let's just test vaping
Yeah.
on babies. That's what I'm saying. Like they'll have.
Wow. Well, okay. So
No.
if the vape I had nicotine in it, and I put it in my lungs, it has nicotine in it. It would make sense that the vapor that comes out of my mouth also has nicotine in it.
Correct.
So, is there a chance of secondhand smoke with this?
Not smoke. Is there? Okay, I think your question
Secondhand
is:
vape,
Is there
yes.
is there a chance of secondhand vape causing somebody to be addicted to nicotine?
No, not addicted, but just what I'm wondering is, so as a non-smoker, I hate it because you're sharing that habit, right?
Mhm.
So with the vape,
Why'd you give that back to him? Hand
are
that back
you?
over.
Oh, you want it back?
Yeah, give it
Okay.
back over here. I'm really enjoying this.
Jay's hooked.
With the amount you're producing out,
Yeah.
your body actually, when you breathe it in, your body actually intakes a lot of that nicotine.
Okay.
So basically, if you, how do I explain this? When you intake it, your lungs actually grab the nicotine and put it inside your bloodstream. And then when you breathe out, so it's like
Otherwise, there would
fraction
be
of
no
it.
point of having
Correct.
nicotine.
Because if you're just
in
going to
it.
breathe it in and breathe it out, you're not going to be hooked to nicotine whatsoever.
Well, come on now. That you could say you could say the same thing about tobacco.
Good.
I mean, that's
If that was the case, then yeah, but tobacco also is only 50% of it is only tobacco.
Yeah.
The other percent, I think I sent Jay earlier a video from the History Channel. They actually did how cigarettes were made.
Yeah.
And they're actually sweeping stuff off the floor and putting it in the cigarettes
yeah.
to produce more cigarettes to have a higher volume. So, I mean, what are you breathing in then if it's being swept off the floor?
Well, you're also assuming the floor is dirty, and I mean, they could be wearing little booties. Keep the floor clean.
Well, I don't think I really want to smoke anything that's been swept off the floor.
Yeah.
How do you know?
That's true. Maybe that. Maybe
I might
that
have
would
a
be the
bottle here
greatest
that
thing.
I've poured off, I've spilled it again. Oh, crap.
Well, so just based on my limited research the time I had here, it became very clear to me that a lot of the anti-vaping claims are just wrong. Including that there hasn't been research about it. It turns out there's been a lot of research about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we don't have the long-term studies that I'd like to see.
It's all short-term like stuff that you
Right.
can actually prove research, which is fine.
Well,
Because we don't have the time to do the long-term research as of yet.
Right, and there's this misunderstanding that every habit you have to have is supposed to be safe, because I'm sorry, you're gonna have there should be public campaigns against going out jogging because you might twist an ankle, or
Right.
it's silly to me to expect this kind of hobby or this kind of habit without with somebody believing that there are no side effects, that there's no health hazard. How many people are reminded every single day of the harms of drinking alcohol?
Yeah, and still do it.
Yeah.
And still do it extremely into excess. I don't think any of us here are saying that. Yeah, no, this is a completely like go ahead and vape, and there's absolutely no consequences to it whatsoever. But I think in terms of everything that I've seen, it seems to be a much safer vice.
Yeah.
To anything, and I even include that or to eating. I mean, I'm not sure, because I know if you are intaking way too many calories and you end up becoming overweight, there's a lot of I'm not going to get diabetes from this
Well,
that I know of. Maybe in the long term study.
This is a gateway drug to cinnamon rolls.
I think that one is.
There's actually one with Fruit Loops in it too.
Oh no.
Actually, speaking of Fruit Loops, now I wanted to ask you this, because what do you think? There's a lot of people that say that all this is doing is advocating kids to smoke This is advocating to get kids to smoke.
Yeah,
By using candy flavors,
I'm not
and
gonna
fruit
lie.
flavors and Fruit Loops.
I'm looking at this little package, right? There's a little vial here with a dropper in it, and I'm looking at the label here. It is a cartoon bear who looks zany, with fruit in his hands. All the classic. This looks like a kid's wrapper.
It kind of does, yeah. But I'm not gonna lie. It kind of does, but it attracts your eye. It gives you attention to that bottle, and that's what a lot of these companies are trying to do is grab your attention.
But with a style which has been well known. I mean, if you saw that on any other product, you would assume it's for kids.
I would say yes.
Would you buy any? So let's say, I don't know, you're in Home Depot shopping for Home Depot. If you'd like to be a sponsor, write us at Open My Gripe. Now, if you're at Home Depot and you saw any product with that image on it,
Why are you picking Home Depot? Of all the places that sell something that you would eat, why are you picking Home Depot for this?
they've got great snacks. No, I'm just.
Why didn't you just say a grocery store or a gas station? Okay, how about that? If you're in a gas station and a kid would pick that up.
Jay, my mind works in mysterious ways. You know that.
Well, here's my question to you.
Okay.
Is that okay? A lot of these vape juices, they have different names, and they have names that people are trying to be venturous with their juices and try to make them taste like certain things because that draws people to them. Some people like certain flavors, different ideas. There's like cream pie stuff. There's like cereal stuff. There's fruit stuff. There's tobacco flavored stuff too, menthol, spearmint, everything you can name is all out there. But there's alcohol doing the same thing, like birthday cake vodka. That's the same thing. Or
birthday cake isn't something that's specifically marketed to kids.
Swedish Fish.
Yeah, and this isn't strictly marketed for kids. It's all like 18 and older stores that you can only get it in.
Right. I guess
now we should actually push to get these out of the gas stations and stuff like that first instead, and have like their own vape shops.
But the way what I was reading though is suggesting that all the vapes in the gas stations, etc., are the ones owned by the large companies, the tobacco companies, the R.G. Reynolds and companies
Philip
like
Morris,
that.
not a sponsor.
It didn't mention Philip Morris, but it sounded like those were the high nicotine vapes, and that they were full of chemicals that I don't know.
The gas station ones aren't the good ones. They are the really, really crappy ones that people just like, oh, hey, I can use this to get off smoking. And then they're still addicted to the nicotine because those have 24 milligrams or more nicotine in them. And in a lot of shops, they're 12 milligrams or less nicotine.
Okay. The other thing that I was reading is that there are entire vape companies that only manufacture zero nicotine juice. Is that?
I've read some do, but a lot of them do have 6 and 3 at least for sure.
Okay.
That's your main standard ones. There was different studies there's all sorts of studies about this and all sorts of claims and everything. One claim was that kids have died from the nicotine in like the bottles. Like say I have a bottle right in front of you like this, and it's a non-childproof bottle, and a kid got into it and like drank it or something like that. Well, what actually that is, that's not the fault of the juice. That's the fault of the people who have the kids who aren't taking care of their stuff.
Passing the buck.
I'm just saying. And then they go back to the juice company and saying like, your nicotine is what killed my kid. Well, the people who are.
Well, I guess it would be no different than like, okay, hey, my kid drank all of my bleach.
Or left.
Let's sue the bleach company for having a toxic product.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same
I
time,
left a chainsaw on the lawn and it just started.
You can't blame parents for not thinking of everything their child can potentially do.
Correct.
And you also can't. I mean, there's a reason why bleach companies make those bottles pretty hard to remove.
But actually, I think most of these e-juice bottles actually do have a child-safe top, don't they?
Well,
I'm not saying all of them.
If I was in elementary school right now, I'd be putting a Mr. Yuck sticker on one of those.
I would say 99% of the bottles do have the childproof locks on them. Every single one of them. That was actually kind of input in because of stuff like that. People had bottles and they just like trying to produce their own juice. They didn't, nobody really had a standard of stuff like that. And as you go along with different things, there's standards come into play as you go, per certain instances like this that, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, it happened.
Yeah. But I'm not going to let you run away from this one. I want to focus on this. I'm looking at another label right now, and this is coming up. Zombie with BEE, like the insect. Zombie juice, and it's got a cartoon insect on it. It just, once again,
guess a bee.
This looks exactly like a label for Gushers or...
Okay, wait. Since when has Gushers ever had a zombie on it?
It's a bee, not a zombie.
I've never seen a Gusher with a bee on it.
Whatever, it's like one of those...
like Honey Nut Cheerios?
Fruit snacks that you would see. Okay, this is funny. This is a label that says Crispy Hippie, and it actually has a hippie on it. And he's looking pretty happy, I gotta say.
That juice is actually made here in Fargo.
Although
it's by Drip Star.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
It's
really good juice.
What I'm seeing is with a lot of these kids.
Well, okay, I think, but doesn't that lead to more of a question of that's just we are so short attention span. We need short videos, and nobody listens to our hour-long podcast because they would like it in 5-minute clips. Is that you need something to draw the eye?
Okay.
I mean, that's just marketing, and I think right now is we're kind of starting to say that. I think when somebody does something like Fruit Loops or Cinnamon Toast Crunch or something like that, it's just drawing you to the fact that hey, this is what it tastes like, not necessarily saying like
Cinnamon Toast. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is what I was trying to say.
Well, see, we've got both sides here because we've got two people vaping in here, not having any kind of lung problems. Jeffrey, of course, has, like he said, he smoked one cigarette in his entire life. Actually, not having that big of a problem.
No.
I told you to take smaller puffs because you're a little fragile boy.
Oh, fragile indeed. There's only so much cinnamon I can handle. Now it does taste like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and it's marketed to kids.
And why? And so then, of course, I think they're just trying to draw that market of people that like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I mean, because it's a very specific flavor, so you know that if you get somebody that is a vapor and they like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, they're gonna buy that product. I don't necessarily think that it's directed towards kids.
No.
I would say if one of the big tobacco companies came out with something like that, then I would say maybe. I would be a little bit more apt to think that big tobacco is trying to draw in kids because they have a history of doing it. I don't necessarily think like this company that made Drip Star with the Crispy Hippie is necessarily trying to get kids to smoke their...
No.
I absolutely don't think that. I think they just want somebody to see this image and are trying to put iconic images to this and to try to draw their attention.
That would have gotten my attention when I was
They actually
14.
made a juice called Fargo and had it just labeled Fargo on it. And
Did it taste like an alcoholic?
No, it didn't. It was like all their juices are good.
Tasted like Bud Light.
Bud Light and sorrow.
And snow.
And snow. Okay, so I can get over. It's tough though. There's a lot of
it's very interesting, but I mean at the same time, there's really not like a regulation on like the type of packaging there is, and I mean you've got different things that like draw attention to people, and especially older kids like myself, as my wife would say, to catch the eye.
Yeah.
The sports drinks do that. You've got Kool-Aid stuff.
But
You've got
sports drinks do it with athletes and things that.
Kool-Aid. Oh yeah.
Well, so what? Vaping has
Kool-Aid
Steven
is for
Dorff.
kids.
But vaping has Steven Dorff.
Really? What?
Yeah, he was one of the first to advertise blue cigarettes.
Yep.
What? Steven Dorff. I know that name.
Yeah, he was in Blade. He was a bad vampire in Blade.
Oh.
Well, if you actually do your research on like the
weird
big
product.
tobacco companies and stuff, they actually do delve into the e-cig stuff too, because they're actually losing a lot of money because people are going from all the big tobacco companies.
Well, that's actually what I'm reading here. If I could share this with you, this is one that I found very interesting. This is a quote from the American Council on Science and Health. They said, quote, tobacco firms already control 99% of the nicotine supply. and the firms could soon dominate the growing e-cigarette market. Unless constrained by the laws of the country concerned, tobacco firms could raise electronic cigarette prices and their profit, decreasing the incentive for smokers to switch to safer products and protecting firms' tobacco cigarette sales revenue from competition. Now, what I'm actually hearing here is a lot of the laws that are coming up very quickly around the country might be targeting the smaller e-cigarette companies that are not owned by big tobacco and forcing them out of business or forcing them. You told us about a case before where somebody had to move because of the laws.
It's Mountain Baker Vapor up in Washington. They actually moved from Washington to Arizona because they actually banned the sale of e-cigarette supplies and juices and stuff actually up there and raised a lot of taxes.
Okay.
So they actually relocated in order to fix that problem.
And if companies like these go out of business, it might just be that, the big tobacco would take over the e-cigarette market because they're the only ones who can afford the fines, the penalties, etc. And at that point, they would have control over e-cigarettes and make them overpriced.
And then they start sweeping up all that e-juice that's on the floor, putting it into the vat and making a master liquid that then they can help extend that out.
It's interesting.
If you actually look at California, for instance, they actually are a lot of big tobacco companies. Are actually dealing a lot with California, and they actually have a lot of input in California itself.
Okay.
Do that. I was reading on that. I need to do some more research again on this, but apparently, like the big tobacco companies are pretty much trying to out vaping in California itself. They tried already, and it didn't work. But it's from what I've read. Grim Green on YouTube, he does a lot of stuff advocacy for the vaping itself. He does hour-long video logs every Thursday and talks about a lot of the advocacy facts and stuff to where it turn your heads to. Minnesota just had one just not too long ago, raising per mil 30 cents per mil on a bottle, like a little bottle like this, 30 ml bottle, would raise this guy up $10 roughly. It'd be like $9.
Wow. Okay.
So instead of costing, you buy it in store for roughly about $20, it'd be like almost $30 now.
Is that still cheaper than cigarettes?
Absolutely.
Okay. I guess.
Well, depending on how much you actually use, I guess, but still.
The California part baffles me, in Minnesota as well, because Minnesota is now legalizing medical marijuana, and they're considering decriminalizing marijuana entirely. California is on the path.
Yep.
How can they consider decriminalizing and legalizing one recreational habit and start to ban another based off of unknowns?
Right.
So at this point, it's clear to me that there's just not enough conversation about this.
Mm-hmm. That's why we're here.
Woo!
There actually isn't a lot of conversation about this because a lot of people shy away from it. I mean, you've got and they try to put vapors and smokers in the same area when they're actually they're actually different items. A lot of smoke huts, like outside bars or companies or restaurants or whatnot, you have to go outside to smoke. Well, they put the vapors with the smokers, so how are we going to get off of, trying to stay away from cigarettes and stuff when they actually force us to be with them all the time?
Well, that's true. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're trying to get away from nicotine, basically they're trying to, all right, so what you're saying is we need to have a smoke hut and a vape hut.
Yes. Yes, we do.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that's this actually flew right by. Oh, geez, Brian, what did you put in this thing? I mean, I think I had some time dilation because this episode just flew right by.
I didn't know we had a time limit. I'm sorry.
No problem, man. You made it go really fast.
Got to make this like a 2-parter, 3-parter, 5-parter.
Hey, if it means you're going to bring it back and introduce us to some more vaping juice, I would be all for that.
Yeah, I'll come back. Absolutely. Absolutely will.
That's really cool. I really appreciate you coming out, and you've opened my mind. I didn't really research this idea before this show.
Well, I have to say, Jeffrey, now, again, as we've stated numerous times, you were very adamantly against smoking,
Yes.
and now you have actually vaped a few different flavors here.
Yep.
What is your just personal opinion on vaping?
My personal opinion has changed quite a bit. I went from just get rid of it because it's still nicotine to, oh no, I'm smelling. Oh my. That is a wonderful banana candy was the smell of that one. Sorry. Distraction.
See, and that's what I
Squirrel.
mean. Like, like if you smoke a cigarette, it's just no matter if you have a flavored cigarette or whatnot, they all just taste like smoke. As you can tell, like this stuff, it actually tastes like the flavors of what it is. It's actually pretty interesting.
Although I will say that this is clearly not any kind of substitute for recreational drinking or recreational marijuana or any of these other things that people do to sort of have a escape from their minds, if you will, or an enhancer. But for the most part, if this is something that people do, I have become less apprehensive to being around it. I'll probably ridicule people a lot less now. And
Well, I mean, how about this? I mean, we have been vaping pretty constant in here, and there's a tiny bit just because it's been pretty steady.
residual haze.
A little residual haze just because we've been it's been pretty steady streaming here, but it's not like a room. It's not like if we would all 2 or 3 of us would be smoking cigarettes in here.
Right.
This room would be filled and it would be hard to breathe.
And I don't. My clothes aren't going to smell.
Nope.
Yeah, maybe a little. Your clothes might smell like Liberace's bathroom. Hey, you know what? How about with that we wrap up this episode? You know what? Jeffrey and I would definitely like to thank you for joining us and listening to the Open Mic Gripe, the place where serious and silly complaints come to chat.
We will be bringing you new episodes every week, and we encourage everyone to participate by sending in your gripes, grievances, and opinions to openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet to us at openmicgripe, and that is all one word, openmicgripe.
So again, right before we leave, we do want to say again thank you to Brian Power, and again, the shop that you work at is what?
Fluid Motion Vapors on 13th Avenue South, right inside the vid cycle.
Excellent. So
In
people
Fargo, North Dakota.
Fargo,
in
North
Fargo,
Dakota.
check it out. And so, you know what? If you didn't like vaping, go ahead and let us know. If you have any kind of feedback, let us know on anything. We sure hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you didn't, check us out next week when we will be discussing your gripe.